Good morning, everybody. Welcome. This is Gretchen Jordan. I'm the Alive Association Manager. I'd like to welcome you to our Alive annual meeting today. We will get started right on the hour. I'd like to let you know the meeting is being recorded, and we'll let you know afterwards how to access the slide deck and the recording. We will get started right on the hour, but I'd just like to have everybody settle in and get ready. Please do use the chat box on the bottom of your control panel, and if someone could type in on that control panel that you can see my screen, that would be great, and I'll know you can hear me too. All right, I do have confirmation. You can see my screen, and we'll get started in just a few moments. All of the attendees are automatically muted, but when we have time for questions, you can use this control panel to ask a question, and I'll be monitoring that. And if it's appropriate to ask your question while the presenter is asking or speaking, I'll interrupt and let them know you've got a question, and you can ask the question, or I can read it off of the box in case you don't have access to a microphone. And then if not, if you've got questions at the end, we'll save them until the end as well. So that is just great. And we have, let's see, I think we've got a nice mix of some current and future board members and some members. So it's really great to see everybody. We've got about one more minute, I think, maybe 90 seconds, and then we will get started. All right, we'll go ahead and begin here, and let me just respond to someone is sending an off-site and hopefully they'll be there shortly. Okay, we'll go ahead and get started. Welcome, everybody. This is the annual meeting of the Association of Leaders in Volunteer Engagement for 2017. This is Gretchen Jordan. I am the Alive Association Manager, and I'd like to be the first to welcome you to our annual meeting today. We will have more people attending, and if you look at your control panel, you should be able to click on the appropriate tabs and expand out that to see who is on the call. You can raise your hand and ask a question. I'll be monitoring that. I will not be doing most of the talking today. I'll be turning over that shortly to Jason and to Dana. But if you want to type your questions in there, I'll go ahead and answer them appropriately when I can. Thanks, everybody. And just some quick housekeeping while I go to the next slide to show our agenda. Again, if you do have a question, you can type it into the screen, and I'll be monitoring that. You're all automatically muted, but if you are able to, I can unmute you when it comes time to ask general questions. This meeting is being recorded, and later on I'll send everyone a message letting them know how to access the slide deck and the recording presentation. So you can see here quickly we've got our agenda, and I'm not going to go over it quickly or too quickly. I'm just going to let you look at it really quick and jump into the next thing, so we've got lots of time for our fabulous host for today. I'd like to introduce Jason Frenzel, our CVA, our Alive Board President, and Dana Litwin, CVA, and she is our Alive President-elect. And I'll let you guys take it from here. Please go ahead.
Everybody, glad so many folks could make it to join us today. We have a nice, well-rounded set of presentations about what we've been working on for the last year and what we're going to be looking forward to doing in 2018, broken out by our subcommittees. Glad that we have such good representation on the call from existing board members, new incoming board members, and a handful of general members, so that's great. Just to refresh everybody's memory, you can see our mission and vision on the screen here. Give you a moment to read it if you haven't. I wanted to make sure that everybody got a chance to do some introductions. We have a poll for you that I would love to put up. So while Gretchen's getting the poll ready, could you guys all just text chat in your name and your organization, and then you've got a poll in front of you about where you're calling in from.
Great. You can see the poll on your screen, and we'll share the results. This is just to get you a little familiar with clicking the buttons and so on. But we've got a nice representation.
Oh, bummer. Presenters can't use the poll. I don't get to add.
Sorry.
That's all right.
I can see that almost everyone has voted, so I'll go ahead and give you just a few more seconds. All right, everybody's voted. I'll close the poll and I will share the results for you. So again, feel free to type into the chat box or into the question box, you know, specifically who you are and where you're calling from, and you can look at that. Welcome, welcome. I see Kathy and Michelle have introduced themselves. I'll go ahead and close that poll and we can go on to the next slide.
Thank you, Gretchen. So as it stands, our current list of our current board of directors are on the screen. We had a couple early retirements come the end of the year. And Beth Whitmer, I believe, is stepping down because she's term limited off at the end of this year. Our terms are 3 years, and then you can do a subsequent 3-year term, and then we're termed off after a total of 6. You can see all of our vice presidents. Those would be our subcommittee chairs also at this point, and I believe all of them are moving forward as same this coming year. Gretchen, would you flip slide for us?
You bet.
Thank you. Here's our incoming board members. We were able to interview a handful more individuals than this for the board of directors. A few people that ended up not joining us because of various reasons, some personal, after having conversations about what the work entailed and the workload, and then a couple people who realized that their skill set was redundant to other people who are already on the board, which is just fine. So we have a really nice array of different backgrounds here. People that have been in nonprofit management for dozens and dozens of years, a lot of people who have led or co-led local volunteer manager associations, which is fabulous. I'm really excited, having looked at all of these folks' resumes and all of their backgrounds and chatted with them over the last couple months. I'm really, really excited about the strengths that we're bringing onto the team, rounding out our capacity as an organization. So for those of you who are on the call, welcome. We did conduct our voting through our membership online over the last month and met our bylaw rules, and you are all now board members. So welcome, everyone. Gretchen, would you like to hit the slide again, please? Dana, would you like to cover this, or would you like me to? Well, not hearing Dana, I going to, so this is our, a number of years ago, we decided to break up our board into representatives of regional areas in the country. We do not have a hard and fast rule that we will cover all areas, but it's an attempt for some geographic diversity. We do have some goals to reach different types of diversity on our board as representatives. It's always a struggle, of course, to get people that represent all the different areas of the country. When I first started, for example, both the Great Lakes and the Atlantic, which are strongly represented at this point, were very much underrepresented. And because of some of our work at local and regional conferences, we were able to find some additional people in these areas. And so that helps. Obviously, we have some work to do to round out our location representation, but it gives you a sense from who's in what areas. We also try to use this so that we as a board can attend state or regional conferences or initiatives as members of ALIVE, reducing our travel costs and such. And we also sometimes conduct regional roundtables or online meetings of our membership based on regional basis.
Great, thanks, Jason. That solved my audio issue. And I'd really like to point out that some of our incoming board members have already been doing some wonderful work on our committees, and we'll get more into those opportunities for members as we get deeper into the webinar. So thank you, Jason, for covering those last few slides.
Absolutely. Gretchen, would you like to switch slide again? And then Dana, would you start this one for us?
Sure. We had a lot of work and projects coming out of the National Summit that was held in St. Paul and hosted by MABA. And the main group that's been moving forward is kind of a structure task force for a new national alliance or coalition type group that can move the profession of volunteer management and engagement forward in a national conversation. There were 5 table topics, if you will, in the post-summit discussion in St. Paul that came out of that, these top 5 that you see on your screen. The one that we wanted to start with the action items initially for a 3-month series of calls for people interested in this task force. We're actually going to have a final wrap-up call in the middle of December for that group, and then that will decide what that national structure looks like and for coalition or alliance that expands beyond the field of volunteer management directly, but involves inviting some cross-sector partners to move the conversation of volunteerism and volunteer engagement and advocacy for it at a national level forward. It's really exciting for ALIVE to be kind of facilitating this process of this group. It's something that absolutely enhances the work we and many of our partner agencies are already doing, but the sum of the parts of whatever this new entity turns into are really going to be absolutely amazing, and I'm been very excited and honored to be co-facilitating these calls along the way. Within that umbrella of what this kind of new national coalition turns into, we have a communications team. Some people have already expressed interest in all 5 of these areas, and Jason or I or others have been in contact with them. But the one that we wanted to really get launched first is, what does this larger structure look like? what is Alive and other partner agencies' role in that structure, and then we can move forward our kind of communications team to kind of keep communications efficient for the whole profession and get new ideas and new leaders rising to the top. Research, again, Sarah-Jane Renborg is on that, also Toby Johnson's involved with that, and having a clear national vision that all of these groups can work towards. Jason has very specifically been working towards the next gathering. It may or may not resemble the National Summit or some other structures like Points of Light that have existed in the past, but I know we're looking at fall or late 2018 for that gathering. So there has been some movement on that, and in 2018 expect even more updates and some action items and possible committees or steering group invitations to join as we get these really launched into action.
So Dana, I've got a question from the audience from Gerald Pinozo in New York, I believe. And his question is, a colleague and I expressed interest in the 3-month task forces and didn't hear back. He's looking forward to this report out.
Oh, wonderful. Yeah, I'm working on the structure task force with Betsy McFarland of the ADISA group, and we did our best to gather everyone who expressed interest, either writing it down at the post-summit meeting or emailing us later or doing a poll that Alive and MAVA put forward. And there's still opportunities to do stuff. This is not the be-all, end-all, but we worked with the group that we had for this initial kind of structural launch, whatever this entity turns into, but there's going to be plenty of work to go around, Jerry, so I'm really excited to get you involved however we can in any of these 5 areas. So Betsy and I will definitely follow up with you very soon.
Thanks, Dana. Should I go to the next slide?
I just wanted to note.
Oh, go ahead.
I just wanted to note that, and I've talked to most of the people on the call at one point or another about this, but the way the output from the Minnesota Summit came about and concluded, Alive is not the owner of these projects and this work.
Right.
But between most of the Alive board, we are very much invested in making sure that these issues move forward, which is why you see Dana and my names listed on here. I've been talking to some of our key partners and other influential individuals in the industry to try to figure out the best way that Alive can support and move some of these initiatives forward while not grabbing too much of the reins too quickly at the time. We'll talk about that a little bit later during I think the financial update. But I just wanted to make sure that everybody understands that these aren't Alive's to own necessarily, though we are playing a critical role in some of them.
Right, and at this point, it really has just been co-facilitating, again, with Betsy, these structural coalition alliance, whatever that ends up being named in December. Just kind of hosting, co-facilitating, helping guide, but we absolutely are committed to shared visioning and leadership and the right cross-section and diversity of voices to move this forward.
Great.
Wonderful.
Cool.
All right, I will go on to the next slide.
Yeah, and just some basics about our treasurer's report. Brian is unable to make it. He had some very large changes at work in the last couple of weeks and has been completely overwhelmed. So at the beginning of 2017, a little bit in 2016, Brian and myself did a bunch of work on creating new procedures around how we do finances, how they're reported out to the board, utilizing increased communication so that there's a little bit more transparency within the board about what our month-to-month finances look like, so there's better tracking, as well as utilizing a year-after-year budget so that we can project out our upcoming budgets a little bit more firmly. We conducted our first time doing a fundraising campaign early in it was in the middle of 2017. There was a modicum of success. We raised a few $100s doing that. but it was our first attempt at doing a fundraising. Most of us work, or many of us work for nonprofits and do fundraising to our membership, and we thought, well, we'll try that out and see. So we're gonna continue that. We continue that initiative in 2018. As many of you do already know or have heard, our board are also donors to the organization. Again, another best management practice that we have moved over from other nonprofit work, and we're looking to see and experiment with and work towards having more of our members be financial supporters of the organization. A couple other new initiatives that we started this year. We got Amazon Smile and PayPal Giving up and running. While not a significant percentage of our income, it is diversifying our income, which is important and good to do. I wanted to make sure at this point that I also mentioned, as most and all probably know, we brought on a paid contract staffer, Gretchen, a couple of years ago for the first time. Getting to our being 10 years old now at this point, that was a great and important critical step for us as an organization, and struggling through what the balance point of that is and was and should be has been a dynamic portion of our budget. And a couple of years ago, we stretched and brought down our balance in our checking account from roughly $10,000 to under $5,000, which made the executive committee a bit uncomfortable. And so we tightened up our budget this past year in 2017 and have been able to bring that bottom line budget back up significantly. So as we finalize our budget coming into 2018, Gretchen, if you'd hit the slide for us. Coming into 2018, we'll be finalizing our 2018 budget at our December board meeting. Our bylaws do not say that we need to vote as a group here today on our budget, and so as such, our current budget is in flux and not for 2018 is currently in flux and not completed. But anybody who wants to see that certainly can at any point in time after we've finished it in a few weeks. Some goals that Brian has identified and the rest of the board has identified for 2018. Brian will be termed off of the board in a couple years also, so he's looking to find a new treasurer to replace him. He's identified a mentoring job shadow program that he wants to use. I think we have 2 people on our new board members who have expressed some interest, so Brian and I will be working with those folks to make sure that they know what they need to know, and we get the right people in the right place for 2019 and forward. I mentioned the 2018 fundraising campaign already. We're doing more and more sponsorships with different organizations sponsoring events, webinars, and some of the platforms that we're using. We have some support coming from this coming year from IJOVA and Verified Volunteers to support some of our internal structures like web hosting and these calls. So that's something that we'll be continuing to explore and work on. We are in the process of writing our first ever grant proposal as an organization. It's related to the summit and the output of the summit. And then I think I covered everything on this slide. Did I miss anything?
No, I think I'll advance.
Thank you. Dana, you up on this one?
Yeah, we have built up our partnerships with other agencies and organizations over the years, and we've had some really great, strong partnerships. We put on the hybrid conference with Better Impact, and we'll be back for that in 2018. I had the pleasure and honor of hosting the 2 days of that broadcast with almost 40 locations in North America joining us. We, of course, have a very long-standing mutually beneficial relationship with the Council for Certification and Volunteer Administration. I'm CVA. Many of us on the board are CVAs, and we support them as much as possible. A slightly newer official partnership is with the Volunteer Match. We've been great unofficial partners for years, but now we've gone into co-promoting training webinars, and we've been writing some guest blog posts for Volunteer Match. And of course, we always want to offer our members technologies and innovations and resources as part of your benefits of being with Alive, and Samaritan Technologies and Verified Volunteers and Better Impact are huge partners with that. And of course, IOVA, or JOVA, however you want to pronounce it, again, more kind of sharing each other's webinars, co-promoting that. And we always have these webinars and these technology offers or new partnership offers as we build those agreements on our main Alive website, volunteeralive.org. And of course, we want all of our members to use that as a really convenient one-stop shopping for your career needs and resources, and just to see what's going on with us and cool events coming up that you're invited to do that are free or very discounted for Alive members. And really, the website's an amazing resource to use as a member and get your profile completed. And the more you put into it, the more you get out of it, and the more we know how to get you connected to your peers and help you out. And we'll go into that a little bit more later in the presentation, but we're really happy to be working with these organizations, and we're going to be building many more partnerships into 2018, I think particularly out of some of this amazing post-summit task force work. So thank you so much. And I know we're getting some other information ready. Membership. Jason, hand back to you for a minute.
Fabulous. Yeah, just some updates of what we've been working on in membership, or the updates that we've accomplished. We've created a much stronger relationship with the America Service Commission. Looking forward to having a bunch of them be direct members with us, seeing how we can collaborate perhaps on some of the outputs from the MAVA Summit. And generally just supporting each other, because we feel very related and intricate niches next door to each other. So that's been some really, really positive conversations with upcoming outputs. Our membership committee has been bolstered very strongly over the last year. Been able to accomplish a bit more, as Dana already said, and some of the things that we've already talked about, as well as getting more of the phone calls you see down below. Just checking in with our members more directly, more routinely. So having a few more people on this committee has been very, very valuable. We are looking at changing our membership categories slightly. We're realizing as we're reaching more practitioners through other modes, such as through America Service Commission or similar organizations, the membership categories that we have right now aren't precisely correct for today's day and age, or the way that we're creating our partnerships. And so we're looking at that again. We contracted them a little bit in 2016, 2017, and might be augmenting them again upcoming. But that feels really comfortable from my perspective. Our new member webinar has changed a lot over the last year because of a lot of the services that Dana went over, and the way that we're doing work, and the outputs from the summit are changing what we're doing and who we are. Our orientation information is changing significantly. And then lastly, we had a really strong boost in our membership. We've rolled around somewhere around 250 members for an ongoing period of time, and we had a pretty significant bump, mostly associated with the summit, but also related to some of those new partnerships that we have. We were able to also go back and clean up some of our old members that were sort of sitting in wait that hadn't actually been active. So we ended up dropping another few dozen old members who were sort of grandfathered in, but not participating in any way also. So our numbers are up notably, which is a great development for the organization and for the industry. And we look forward to seeing that continue based on the projects that we already started to talk about with you guys today. Flip that for me, Gretchen.
There we go.
Thank you. And so some membership updates, goals for 2018. We're going to completely revamp our members section on our website. The materials there are pretty outdated, and those of you who participated in our information gathering visioning session in the middle of this summer, we identified some of the materials and support that we were offering to our members weren't particularly valuable, so we'll be removing some things there, notably things like the information exchange of like who's doing what, so that you can try to find other members. We're obviously, based on those phone calls that I was mentioning earlier, and getting more connection with our membership directly, we're looking to increase both our membership and our retention. Our retention rate has been reasonable, but we're still seeing double-digit drops on a regular basis, and so that's something that we're trying to attempt to resolve. We understand that that's a really dynamic set of issues regarding what we're providing, how we're providing it, all these things that we're trying to offer to our membership. So those are going to be both large and dynamic set of changes to what membership is delivering. Another initiative that we just got started, and I'm really excited about our current and incoming board members, is our work to support the growth, creation, and nurturing of local practitioner networks, DOVIAs as they used to be called. That's a niche that we've come to realize over the last few years that is really, really needed. Those of you who have attended or know about our hybrid conference, it's a great demonstration of how well the local DOVIAs can be served by a professional association and therefore reach and support more practitioners. So we're looking at more ways to do that. I want to give a lovely huge shout out to Gretchen for her work on this, both her passion and interest, but also her mobile her mobile living situation as of her retirement has allowed her to go and visit with all sorts of associations on behalf of Alive, which both bolsters their connection to us and allows us to reach more members and increase our connection with them. So that's been great. Thank you again, Gretchen, for that. We're always in the process of reviewing our membership benefits and trying to increase the number of collaborations we have with partners and between our members. Dana piloted a mentorship program, which we're looking at how we're going to revamp that and upkeep that in coming year or years. And then we have new committee members coming on, and we're going to be talking about new committee, your potential interest in new committees or existing committees at the end of this presentation.
Sounds good. More shout out to Gretchen. Gretchen gets all the claps and shout outs and props for her tireless work behind the scenes, including setting up technical things like this.
I apologize, everyone, that I did not, this is our first time using GoToWebinar since our upgrade, and I did not turn on the permissions so you could see all of the attendees. So if you could just type in your name in the question box, you can scroll through there and see who's on the call. And then I'm going to turn this over to Emily. I'll unmute you, Emily. You've got 5 minutes to talk about programs and advocacy, and let me know when you'd like me to advance the slide.
Okay, can you hear me, first of all?
Yes, you sound great.
Fantastic. New technology, so wasn't sure what's going to work. Yeah, thank you. So last year, 2017, we did a series of successful Alive Academy webinars, including one on advocacy, for example, and the most recent that was mentioned earlier with IJOVA, Harriet Edwards from IJOVA, on writing for the professional volunteer manager. We, of course, and again, shout out to Gretchen, we put on a very successful hybrid conference, Take the Leap, Embrace Change, Very successful. We've talked about it a couple of times, so successful that we're looking forward to doing it again 2018 and even better. And we participated and collaborated in several different research and advocacy efforts, including, as was explained earlier, the summit and the five committees that came out of the summit, as well as, for example, a research project out of MAVA, led by Carmeet Bullman, who is also on the board. Unfortunately, I can't tell if she's on the call. That report will be coming out shortly as well, and that was also about about volunteer management in nonprofit organizations, and and the profession of volunteer management. So those are the kinds of research and advocacy efforts that we have been doing in 2017. And you could go ahead and advance it, Gretchen. And we have a lot of goals and objectives and are looking forward to a really exciting 2018. We will be bringing back the Alive Academy in a revised way. We will be doing quarterly webinars with guest speakers, again looking at advanced professional topics. We will also be having 4 quarterly partner webinars. We know, for example, that our volunteer match partner webinar will be happening in March. We are also going to start communities of practice, or some people call them affinity groups, where our members who have something in common that they just want to get together and talk about, we are going to facilitate those groups getting together and having the chance from all over the United States to talk about those issues that are of particular interest to them. It could be an issue, it could be regional, it could be the industry that you're working in. So we will be developing this communities of practice format. We are, again, of course, going to, it won't be Take the Leap, Embrace Change, but it will be another hybrid conference in October. The dates have been set, and you'll hear a lot about that in the coming year. We are going to revamp our web pages on resources to bring in, make it more of a clearinghouse where you can go and get resources. We are also going to add into that more research-oriented and academic research-oriented material and resources that you can use in your advocacy efforts, which leads us to advocacy. That advocacy will take a lot of different formats, including more articles about legislation and advocacy and trends that are relevant to our fields and our industry. And again, we will be working with membership and marketing and the rest of the Alive organization on supporting local volunteer professional networks, including helping individual members who are interested in starting volunteer professional networks come in and learn how to get those kinds of groups started. Finally, although it's not up here, we are also obviously very much involved in, as is all of the Alive board and membership, in putting on the next summit, which, as Dana had said, will be in fall 2018.
Thank you very much, Emily. Yep, I'm going to mute you back and advance the slide for our next presentation. And oh, here's a poll question. I'll just ask this poll really quick.
So as you may, hopefully you saw or heard, the Volunteer Pro survey is out and closes tomorrow. We have found, Alive has found that product and the outputs from that to be exceptionally valuable in developing our support for the industry, and we are obviously very, very thankful to Toby Johnson and her crew for all their work in the industry and supporting all of us. So we would drastically hope that you would make the 10 minutes to fill out their survey.
Thanks.
Go ahead. Sorry, Betty.
Yeah, no, that's okay. I'm just going to say most of you voted. I'll close the poll, share the results. Most of you have, but so there is still time. We also just sent an additional email to all of our members today with the link on how to do that. And when you sign up to take the survey, you'll also be invited to the webinar to reveal the results, which are always really interesting and, as Jason said, very valuable. So let me hide that poll and we'll go on to the next slide. And Megan. I believe Megan Vixie is up, and Megan, you are on here too. I'm going to unmute you and go ahead.
All right, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes. Perfect. Okay, yes, I'm Megan Vixie. I'm the VP of Marketing for Alive. So I'm very fortunate to work with all of our VPs to kind of advance their initiatives, as well as how you hear about us and how you hear about all the things that we're doing. So just to go over some of our accomplishments, you know, from past years and through 2017, you'll see we've really tried to work on increasing our presence on social media. We've really worked a lot with Facebook and Twitter, and a big thank you. I'm probably going to be hearing a lot of thank yous to Gretchen for really helping to ensure that we have a continued presence there. And we're really working on, you know, making sure we have a good strategy for utilizing our social media. We've been including newsletters to our membership every other month with the latest news from us, as well as what we're hearing from our partners, any membership offerings. And we really try to make sure our members are getting that information on a recurring basis, as well as some e-blasts to anything new that may be going on that we want you all to be aware of or to know about. We've been looking at the website and making improvements throughout the website to kind of clean it up, make sure all the data is accurate, and we're continually making those improvements as we go along, as well as from hearing from our membership what would be helpful to you. So we're making those improvements on a regular recurring basis. We've been working on the hybrid conference, Take the Leap, and Gretchen's done a great job working with those associations that offered the conference in their local area. So we've built out some marketing toolkits and a marketing webinar for those associations so they can be prepared to outreach to get people to come to their local association's offering of the conference. And we actually, this is, I'll have to say, this is Gretchen's baby. I'm just one of the midwives helping her deliver this product of a volunteer manager's coloring book. Since, you know, adult coloring books are all the rage, Gretchen's worked with a graphic designer to kind of create a coloring book, and we've got some prototypes that we're looking at, and hopefully can roll that out next year. And then just increased presence at local events, again, through our board and with Gretchen, to make sure that if we have the availability and opportunity, that Alive is represented at some of these local association events like America Service Commission, or even local SOVIAs and AVAs and other volunteer associations that we have presence there. And we can advance the slide, Gretchen. And then just to talk about some of our upcoming goals and objectives for 2018. We've established a marketing committee currently, so hopefully they're on the call. I have Jerome Tennille, Anthony Richardson, and Lydia Krupinski, who's on our committee now. We're currently talking about roles and assignments for 2018. And some of those things will include finalizing that coloring book concept, and redesigning the website pages, as well as the navigation of the website. And you heard from membership about looking at the members only section of the website as well. We really want to look at growing our presence on LinkedIn and really utilizing that tool as well to reach out to those that lead volunteers. And then just creating a marketing and communication strategy for any of the work that's resulting out of those professional working groups that Jason and Dana have talked about, so that way our membership is briefed and up to date on all the great work that's being done. So we want to make sure regular communication is going out regarding what's happening on that end. And that's it for marketing.
Thank you very much, Megan. I will mute you back and advance the next slide.
Hey everyone, so we mentioned before, there's already a lot of great committee work to be done. There's always room for more. Megan Vixie is of course leading a wonderful team in marketing. The membership committee is the largest committee we have, but that's also of course a huge focus since we're a membership association, and we are here by and for you, our members, and we listen to you, we respond to you, and we want you to feel engaged in projects that align with your interests and resonate with your heart. And also, you're always welcome to suggest projects and things to us, even when we're not officially putting out a survey. You can reach all of the board members, myself and Jason included, or Gretchen as association manager on email if we don't happen to talk to you in a new member call or some other thing. But as we get into the different committees and programs and advocacy, of course, we hear the great work that Emily's got going on with her committee. We can always add more talent to any of these committees. We have, again, some task forces in play and some working groups that are developing, and that could very likely branch off into some other projects that are related to these kind of 5 tables or 5 initiative projects from the post-MAVA Summit work. Not the least of which is it always takes a village to produce any sort of gathering or summit. So you can, of course, get in touch with Jason around the 2018 plans as those are coming together. And again, we'll know very, very soon in our next call on December 18th, and probably very soon after that, either late December or early January after the holidays, be able to announce what this National Alliance collaboration effort looks like and some roles and committee positions for that entity, which again is separate from ALIVE, but we're happy to facilitate its creation. And anytime we have the vision for the industry group going, and again the communication and research, and those groups kind of under the umbrella of that National Alliance should get some good momentum in 2018. And again, Betsy Farland and myself and perhaps others on the ALIVE board or others that are well known within our volunteer administration community will be reaching out for different committee memberships, projects, task forces as those develop. And as always, use ALIVE as your one-stop shopping for professional networking and support. As the website exists now, as it gets revamped, there's always a lot going on there for you to use in your day-to-day career, and just to reach out for help on your own issues from peers, or if you have an idea for a project or feel that you can contribute your talents to our task forces and committees, you're always absolutely welcome to that.
Thanks, Dana. Would you flip the slide for me, Gretchen? Oh, look at that. Look at you.
Look who's here.
Oh, look at that. We'll just fast forward through that. I've been thanked enough. Thank you very much.
I just wanted to make sure that everybody understood that ALIVE has been expanding and doing a lot of new things, much of which we mentioned today. Anybody who's been following us for the last handful of years will see a suite of different initiatives, many of which are becoming increasingly successful for us. And most of those, if not all of them, Gretchen has a direct hand in. And the ones where the board is taking active leadership on all these subcommittees, Gretchen is either playing a support role or freeing our time to be able to do other things. And so it proves to me the need for the organization to have a paid staff person, and I just want to make sure that everybody knows that that's the direction that we think we're heading in, and Gretchen has just been an amazing boon to the organization's capacity over the last few years. So thank you very much, my friend. I appreciate all of your time.
Thank you. I appreciate that too. Next slide. So now we have a presentation of the bylaw changes, and I think that Beth Whitmire is here. I'm going to unmute Beth and let her take over. And if you are not there, Beth, you can type in the chat box of the...
I do see Beth on board, just as she's trying to get unmuted. I wanted to make sure that everybody saw a year ago, we went through and did some significant mostly bylaw updates. There were some things that were functionally not how the organization was working. Shirley, who's on the call today, brought up some questions during that. I did not know of her history with the organization, and so at our last year's bylaw revision, she brought up some very interesting and critical questions that she worked and Beth worked through on these revisions. So, Beth, are you able to speak?
Jason, it doesn't look like she's able to. Would you like to just cover briefly the proposed changes?
Okay, Beth is self-muted, it says here. So, okay, I will do my best from my memory. So, Article 2, we changed some of the membership categories. Basically, as I noted earlier, we simplified them somewhat. Hey, Beth, did you just unmute yourself? It looks like. Oh, come on. And so basically that was just some updates to the membership categories. We had some that were basically inactive and no longer functioning. Then Article 5, we had a subsection that had our board is allowed a minimum and maximum number of individuals. We've been in my time up until this meeting actually, we've had a little bit of a struggle keeping our mandatory minimum of what was it? Gretchen, was it 15 or was it 13?
A minimum of 13.
It was 13. So our proposal was to reduce the mandatory minimum to 11 to offer a wider array of number of seats on the board. I'm presuming that Shirley is going to have some questions and thoughts about that before we vote, which is completely fine by me. And then later in section 5, just being able to self-nominate as opposed to be nominated by someone. So vague clarification within within how the rule is promulgated. And then lastly, executive director. So we changed the executive director, having not had a paid direct staff person up till now, and now having a contract manager, Gretchen, contractually hired manager. We changed the language around that a little bit to allow Gretchen certain roles and ability to do the work of the board that the board promulgates downwards. Gretchen, have you talked to Beth? She just tried to call me, and I'm guessing she's having some trouble with the internet because I know she's not at home right now.
Yeah. And yeah, I don't see anything from her. I've tried to unmute her again. So okay. Yeah, she says she's here. Let me try to unmute you one more time. I've sent you the audio pin, Beth. And I will just let you know, if you do have questions or comments, there should be a button where you can raise your hand. and I'm kind of monitoring the attendance list. Or if you have a question about the bylaw changes, we've posted these on our website as well for you to review. And if you do have a question or a comment, raise your hand. I'll see that in the box and give you a chance to ask that question. Otherwise, we will ask for a vote via another poll. And Beth, anything? Are you there? Well, seeing no.
That's fine.
It looked like Shirley raised her hand.
Okay, great. Shirley, let me scroll down to you, and I will unmute you. Go ahead. Hi, Shirley.
There I am.
Hi there. Yes, I do.
Hi.
Okay. As Jason said, yes, I do have some questions. Beth and I went through all of the original potential changes and came up with these 4. However, I, at the time, said I will still say that Article 5, Section 1 should not be changed. I think it's very appropriate that you now have a board of 18 members, and that if we can't keep a board of 13 members who are interested enough in this organization to keep it going, then it shouldn't keep going. I feel very strongly that there should be at least 13 board members, and that particular section should not be changed. The other question that I have is, actually I have 2 more questions. There is in the bylaws a statement that says that there have to be certain standing committees, one of which is the Human Resources and Policy Committee that should be going over some of these, and that's the one that should be working on these policies and on the bylaws. That is not in existence, and according to the bylaws it should be. The other question I have is, because we don't know who's on, we have no idea how many people are there. Do we have a quorum of paid members?
Shirley, go ahead, Jason.
Yes, our policy committee is, at this point, is ad hoc, if you will. And I think, Shirley, you and I have not talked about this, but I've talked to this about with many people on the current and incoming board. It's been Dana and my intent for the last couple of years to move towards more outward-looking work. That's not to say we should, or our intent is to let go of internal policy, but it's been a refocusing for the short term to try to increase partnerships, increase membership benefits, and the like. And so, while yes, absolutely, our policy committee needs to be standing, and we don't necessarily, and we are not necessarily having that committee active right now. Effectively in 2017, the only action that committee took was this bylaw revision. So effectively, you and Beth were that committee in some ways. I know that probably doesn't address your concern as directly as you might want, but that's what I got.
Yeah.
Second, for bylaw revisions, you're asking who's on the call and therefore can we vote. By our bylaws, bylaw revisions are allowed by a 2/3 majority vote of the individuals on the annual meeting. So that's 2/3 of this group, no matter the turnout at this meeting. It is not a majority of the membership. So, and
it's not a legal meeting to vote if you don't have a quorum.
The quorum is whoever's on, the number of people on this participating in this meeting by the wording of the bylaws itself is its own quorum. It doesn't have to be a quorum of total membership. And we've already had, the board meetings and quorum move this forward. And again, you're kind of ad hoc subcommittee. So we'll see how the voting goes for the members who are in this meeting today.
Shirley, does that answer that question?
Yeah, that's what it says in the bylaws.
Yeah, exactly.
By the bylaws, yes.
But my understanding is that no official meeting can be held without a quorum, and it is stated in here what the quorum is.
I'd have to go back and read. My interpretation of the bylaws was very different. That there was no statement of quorum at annual meeting at all, and changing a revision of bylaws is simply a 2/3 majority of attendees to the annual meeting.
Okay, in Article 4, Section 5, the quorum is 10% of the organization members at any properly announced meeting shall constitute a quorum. So 10% of the organization, and I don't know what the total numbers of the organization are, but 10% of that are necessary for this meeting to have a quorum to take any action.
Can you tell me what page that's on? Or so what section, subsection? I have it open.
Article 4, Section 5.
Give me just a moment, I'm sorry. 4 section.
It's the meetings of the members, and an annual meeting takes place, special meetings, notice of meetings, all of that's been done, but it still says the quorum is 10% of the organization's numbers.
Yep. Okay, so we can't revise our bylaws right now. We're going to have to, Shirley, we're going to have to figure out a way to change that, because we don't ever get 10% of our members at any meetings anymore. It hasn't been the case for a long time. So we're going to have to figure out a way to change the bylaws by circumventing the bylaws.
And we did have more than quorum register for this meeting, but the actual attendees are slightly less than 10% of our membership, but we had more than 10% of our membership register for this meeting.
Yep.
Yeah. That who can actually make it, or who has something happening at the last minute for a larger membership meeting like this is always a little up in the air. So that might be language that gets revised.
Well, the only thing, a way to get around it is that you might just not adjourn this meeting and do a push to get enough people to come on in an extended meeting to do the vote. I'll work with you on it, Jason.
Yeah, we might have to do it electronically.
Yeah.
And just leave the meeting open for the electronic vote. And then, okay. Okay, so in which case, you bring up a very important question, Shirley. Regarding this, I'm not quite finished, but I would like to also suggest a change to the bylaws stating
I'm just trying to keep you legal.
Yeah, no, I get it. I get it.
No, it's important.
It makes changing, and I'm trying to take a quick look through the bylaws right now to see if there where else we need where else we need.
We also want to be mindful of everyone's time for this meeting, since we're coming up at the end of it. So this might be something that we need to table and do a little bit later as a follow-up with Beth and Shirley.
Yeah, and keep your meeting open, and because you do need to change your membership categories and so forth, and that needs to be done now.
Agreed. Yeah, so We'll keep those open. I'm going to propose electronically to change the voting for bylaws to include 10% of via electronic and not at the annual meeting. And then that only leaves our minimum number of board members. And surely I'm willing to make that concession to leave it at 13 at this point and remove that. Does that sound fair?
Yeah, I agree. Like I say, I just believe you've got to have at least 13 people who are interested in fighting for this organization.
Understood. Cool.
All right,
so,
moving on.
So I will, between Shirley and Beth and I, we will remove we will remove the change to the minimum number of board members, and we will put forward a change to the bylaws, adding that the bylaws may be changed by a 10% vote of the membership in any method. So we could use that just like we do in our board voting and doing that electronically. Does that sound fair to everyone?
Yeah.
Good.
Yes, sir.
Great. Shirley, I appreciate your attention to detail. Thank you.
Yeah, we've had several people needed to leave the meeting due to time constraints. So Shirley, I'm going to put you back on mute, and we will advance to the next slide.
Time for
For
questions.
those who are still on the call, yeah, any questions? We've covered a lot of detailed stuff.
Well, I would just...
Nothing popping up in the chat box? Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, I don't see anything in the question box. There is some comments here that I was answering while you were discussing regarding the voting and the bylaws, and those are documented within the webinar, so we can come back to those. And I just wanted to check and see if there were any other hands raised or questions. I don't see anything else in the chat box. So let's go ahead and move on to the next slide. And I would just encourage people, if you do have questions, you can contact us through our individual emails or through the website, and I will let Jason and Dana continue.
Great. And as always, one-stop shopping at our website, volunteerlive.org. I've got a new member webinar coming up on January 12th, and we're always doing our kind of active and passive fundraising efforts. We are part of Amazon Smile, so if you're making holiday purchases, for example, you can choose us within Amazon Smile, and that helps all of our efforts moving forward. There you can also make a direct donation and also work through eBay for charity as you're doing your shopping. And all this is tax deductible. We're 501(c)(3), so that's how that works. And mark your calendars for slightly less than a year from now for the next hybrid conference. And just a reminder, you can always follow up, email us if you don't have a chat question right now, if something comes up a little later, or we send some other news out, an extension of bylaws votes, anything, you can contact us individually as board members. And again, just more encouragement, use the website to your advantage. The more you put into it for your profile and your information, the more you explore, the absolute, you're going to get the absolute most out of your experience as a member. So thank you all very much for joining, and we'll be talking to you or emailing you about various projects very soon. That's good.
Fabulous. Thank you all so much for your time today. Hopefully we all learned and gained something. I know I did. We'll be talking to you soon, either at a meeting or at an upcoming conference.
Wonderful. Thanks, everyone. And thanks again, Gretchen, for, as always, being the tech wizard pulling it all together.
You're welcome. Thanks, everybody, for your time today, and we will be sending out an email with a slide deck, and if you'd like to access the recording, you can do so as well. And Megan did not mention it, but she will be releasing it in the newsletter in just a few weeks, and there'll be updates in there as well. And On behalf of the entire board and the executive committee, just like to wish everybody thank you for your time. Thank you for being a member, and happy holidays to you all.
Thanks, everyone. Bye-bye.
Bye, everybody.